the surface, and I'm going to show you what they look like at the surface. I'm going to pass on that one and go on to this slide right in here. Now, terminology again. Geologists are only second worst to biologists. Biologists are champions of terminology. They name every bacteria that was ever known. Geologists, on the other hand, name every formation, but there are fewer formations than there are bacteria. So these are the names of the formations in central Pennsylvania. Antece is known as the Utica. It's a black shale. Up in New York State, it's called the Indian Castle right here, like this. And Culver and Salona are the top part of the Clinton group. In New York State, they have other names. But I think the important point to keep in mind is right in here, like this. The limestone portion of this section is equivalent to the Point Pleasant. These rocks in central Pennsylvania are Point Pleasant. These rocks are Utica. Now let me show you this in a picture of a quarry. These are Trenton Black River limestones right here. The Utica Shale is dipping right in here like this. Now you can't see this, but how many people are from Penn State? You guys are just like my class. You ask them a question and there's... Yeah, I saw your hand. You get us.
I am Penn State.
What is your name?
Amy Short.
And you signed my book? Who has my book? Where's my book? All right, find Amy Short's name and put a star next to her name, because she put her hand up and said, "We are Penn State." Can you find it? That's half a star. Who was the coach before Paterno? Rip Engel. So the way you pronounce my name is you say Engel, you think Rip, and Dirt. Engelder. Let me tell you another thing. I came into town from east, up Route 6, and I made a left-hand turn. I saw the theater. Anyone see the theater tonight?
Yes.
I took a left-hand turn, and I said, my golly, here's an active theater. They're probably playing American Sniper. See, I couldn't see what was up there. As I made the turn, I'm waiting for everything to come in focus. My eyes aren't as good as they were. And it wasn't American Sniper. Imagine my disappointment. I was thrilled. I've never had that kind of a welcome into town before. All right, let's see. We're talking about the Utica, though, right here. So this is the around Penn State. If you're from Penn State, you remember Oak Hall, that name, Nittany Mountain. You know Nittany Mountain. This is sitting. Nittany Mountain is right up there. Okay, so right under Nittany Mountain, right there. This is the Point Pleasant right here. And it's this that is making Ohio Ridge. Here's the Utica. It's a black shale. So we have a limestone and a black shale right there. And here's another picture of it. Now we have the lights on, so this is sort of hard to see, so I'll pass on from that. The quarry underneath Nittany Mountain is called the Oak Hall Quarry right here. This is an isopac map of the Utica. And the isopac map means how thick is the Utica. Only this is Utica plus the Point Pleasant right in here, like this. And when you have a gas shale, this is in feet. 400 feet is a nice gas shale, if all the conditions are right. Here's another map. The reason I showed this map, it's a little more complex, you still recognize Pennsylvania and Ohio right here, is that the extent of the Point Pleasant, that's this basin right over here, that doesn't go up into Potter County. So in assessing gas shale prospects for the Utica and Potter County, then we can't count on the Point Pleasant necessarily. But what we can count on, and people often ask, well, where did the organic matter come from? I thought I'd show you a couple pictures of that. The Utica seas were full of little microscopic beasts that no longer live. So there's been a lot of extinction, and these guys, Chitnozoan. Who's a biologist in the room? I want someone to tell me what a Chitnozoan is. Or a graptolite. Actually, I know what graptolites are. These are like dinosaurs, only they're A, microscopic, and B, Ordovician, and C, they're extinct like dinosaurs. They don't live anymore. But it's these little guys, they're very small zooclasts that form the organic matter that allow the formation of Utica gas. These are grapholites right in here like this. So this you can see the scale of that. That's an inch. This guy right here is about an inch long. It's graphite. So these are the types of organic matter that allow the Utica to produce natural gas. Now, one of the other things that geologists worry about in terms of trying to assess, and the question is there Utica gas under Potter County right now? Thermal maturity matters because not only do you have to capture organic matter in rock, but that organic matter has to be cooked. And you all know that when you put it in an oven, organic matter, just think of bread, if you like. You put it in the oven, and it's not hot enough, then you get raw dough back out. And if it's too hot, what do you get back out? Toast, that's right, it's toast. All right, so there's a very narrow temperature range where things are done just right. And so that's one of the issues, is the rock under Potter County done just right. I like to think of nice light brown toast with melted butter and honey on top of it and all that stuff. Really good stuff. So bear in mind, you can either have raw dough or you can have burned toast also. And I gave a talk a number of years ago for Ag Extension right here, and that was in Northumberland County. And Ag Extension in Northumberland County, I had to tell those people that they had burned toast underneath their county. You know, that didn't go over very well. And so the next day, the local newspaper, which was the Northumberland Thunder, well, I don't know what the name it was, but big headlines. Headlines in larger type than Kennedy was assassinated. Professor brings bad news. And I wanted to show you a copy of that, but didn't. So actually, I hope that when I'm done right here, the headlines won't be that. It'll be Professor brings optimism to the county. So here we are. These are also little fossils called conodonts, and as they're heated, they change color from a light color to a dark color. And the conodonts that indicate nice light brown buttered toast with honey on it are these conodonts right here. And the good news is that's the color of the conodonts in the Utica underneath Potter County. I mean, that's exciting, isn't it? Yeah? All right, yeah, I want you to say. In fact, here's a map right in here like this. This is a map. Now, it's not all good news, though, because right now the most valuable Utica has oil in it. And let me go backwards and say that the oil is found over here. And the Utica is a little bit more done than oil. It's a dry gas. But so the USGS has drawn maps that predicts Potter County right in here, natural gas. Coast is over here near Penn State. You know, Penn State just didn't draw the right straw on that. All right, now some people have assessed the possible sweet spots for the Utica. This looks like it's a little bit low for Potter County, but don't get nervous. This one also, this is a range resources assessment for the Utica, and I want to go through this in some detail because here you see Potter County. And what you want to do is go right out and buy a couple shares of range resources. Don't buy a lot of them, just in case they're wrong. But according to range resources, there is a lot of prospective gas in Potter County, particularly southern Potter County. And their assessment is based on the color of those little fossils called conodonts, among other things. And that's really exciting. All right, now you can't see this chart right here, but the color indicates the amount of gas in a Utica per square mile or per section right here. And let me just tell you that the brightest color is somewhere between 160 and 180 billion cubic feet per section. Potter County, the best part of Potter County, is 140 to 160 billion cubic feet per section. Now you cannot recover all of the natural gas that's there. So I'm going to do a quick calculation right in here. And let's say that Potter County is up in this region, right up in here, like the southern half of Potter County, is prospective at 120 billion cubic feet per section, according to range resources. Now remember that, to the best of my knowledge, there has been no test of Utica in Potter County. Is that right, Art? Yeah, there has been no test of Utica, so we really don't know. This is still geological inference at this time. But the stars look like they might be aligned, is basically what this says right in here. Now let me remind you, one of the downsides though is that the big play is the Point Pleasant, that's over here. And it doesn't get into Potter County. So we have to rely on the Utica gas shale itself. And let's talk a little bit about the properties of gas shales. Now we're going to go longer than 8 o'clock. I don't think the audience will mind. This is sort of like Boyhood lasted 2.5 hours as opposed to 2 hours. Boyhood is a movie that's going to be out pretty soon. So I'm going to be a little bit longer. But I do want to point out some technical aspects to the Utica Shale right here. What you see on this chart right here is a ratio of limestone to shale. So blue is limestone, shale is shown in the darker gray color right in here. And you can see going down in the section deeper, you get more likely it is to be a limestone. And Trenton Black River limestone is this right down in here, right at the bottom. Now what's shown here also, this is very important, which is the water saturation right in here. Let me tell you that a good gas shale, SWs, water saturation, a good gas shale will have a very low water saturation. That's the Point Pleasant right in here, like this. It's not the Utica itself. In fact, the bottom part of the Utica, at least in this particular well right in here, has water saturation that's a little bit too high. Now the Polish, for example, have drilled as many as 50 test wells, praying to whoever they pray to that they've got the right conditions. And they have been disappointed time and time again. And the problem with the Polish gas shale largely is that parameter right here, water saturation. So on this diagram right in here, this is a water saturation diagram from 0 to 100% right here. You can see that there's pretty well 0 right there, but in this lower part of the Utica, it's too high to be prospective. And so these are some of the caveats that you run into. They're really subtle things about gas shales. And a gas shale, in order for it to be economic, really has to have a number of stars aligned. One of which is it has to have been in the oven for the right length of time. 2 is it has to have the right volume of organic matter, those little things that fall out of the sea. 3, it has to have expelled a lot of the water that was originally in the shale. 4, it has to be thick enough. 5, it has to be deep enough. 6, it has to have a governor who doesn't ban fracking. And all of those things have to align. And fortunately for you guys, you've been ruled by Pennsylvania's governor and not New York State's governor. So here we go. This is the same chart right in here. Isn't too technical, Art. You recognize the gamma ray log curve right in here. I'm just going to drift over that. I've told you, gas shale requires low water saturation, and this is a picture of the Utica, and you'll notice that in Ohio, the prospective part of this is the Point Pleasant rather than the Utica itself. So these are sort of exciting things. Another picture of the Utica right here in around the State College area. And the last point that I wanted to make for opening this up to question and answers concerns this sharp contact versus a gradual contact. Remember that I said in Pennsylvania, where you do not have the Point Pleasant, then you have the Utica on top of the Trenton. Around State College, that Trenton is known as Coburn. And there is either a sharp contact or a gradational contact. Now this is one of my colleagues at Penn State, Duff Gold, who is standing, his feet are right on that contact right there. This is known as a gamma ray log right in here, and black shale tends to have a higher radioactivity, and the higher radioactivity is indicated right here in the Utica. This is the Utica Shale. This is the Trenton down in here like this. His feet are standing right on that transition from low radioactivity to to high radioactivity right in there. But still, with this scale, that's a gradational contact. The gradational contact occurs because the rock stayed underneath sea level, underneath seawater, the entire period of deposition. When you have a sharp contact, that means that there was a period of time in which the limestone came above sea level. And when it did that, then some erosion took place in that limestone that created a topography or a rock that we call a karst rock. Now, in my area of State College, karst limestone means that there are a lot of sinkholes. And so that boundary between sharp and gradational is the boundary that identifies north of that boundary, which is Potter County. Sinkholes will have developed in the top of this limestone right down in here like this. And those sinkholes are what has allowed New York State to produce lots and lots of natural gas from that top part of that limestone, right at the limestone to gas shale contact. This is a gradational contact. There are no sinkholes in this rock. And so my best guess, and this has to be tested. Remember, it hasn't been tested, although Shell has run 2 wells in Tioga County. My best guess is that Shell ran those wells into, actually, let me go backwards and show you. This one will do. When Shell drilled their horizontal wells, my best guess is that they did not drill in the Utica, which is right in here like this. What they did was they got down into the Trenton Black River, down right about here, right here like this, through this stuff. They were searching for the presence of those sinkholes. And it was proven in New York State that if you drill for 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 feet along the bottom, below this contact right in here, there's a possibility of hitting them. And when you hit some of these things, you produce an awful lot of gas. Now the question, of course, is the sustainability of that production. There have, however, been some wells in New York State, in that top part of that Trenton, that have produced somewhere on the order of 20 to 30 billion cubic feet. That's a lot of gas, because an average Marcellus well, if it produces some 4 or 5 billion cubic feet, that's great. Now, all of this is geological speculation right now. I think the good news is that there's enough of a prospect. So my understanding is that there have been some operators that have actually permitted to test the Utica in Potter County, and they would not permit this. It's a pretty expensive test to just try something that might be known as a wildcat. So, all right, I guess that I've had my fun. I understand that this is a very attentive audience who is willing to ask lots of questions, and I love questions.
Do we have any other question cards out there right now?
I'll just,